We live in interesting times right now. There's a whole bunch of generational effects that are happening that kind of come to rest in the technology portion of the organization. They tend to run into the CIO. And in particular, we're thinking about here how IT support is delivered to the rest of the organization. A couple of big forces that are changing things. First one is the rise of remote work. It's a little hackneyed, but ever since COVID, everybody went home and they don't really want to come back to the office despite what realtors want. And so what that means is that employees don't have as much of a physical connection to their office. It doesn't feel the same. And so what's happening is that the IT help desk and the support that they deliver is actually one of the only tethers that employees have this. Add in the fact that there's a general disconnection factor and sort of this phenomenon of quiet quitting, and it ends up being a real problem that needs addressed. Secondly, just general SaaS sprawl. Like we've seen companies that literally have more SaaS applications than they have employees, which blows my mind. But it's actually a thing in an organization where prior to this, they might have had 10, 12 software components, most of which were installed on laptops and carried around. Now you have hundreds of applications and you have to be an expert at every one of them, and it's just too big an ask. Third, there's a generational shift afoot. So Gen Zs, for instance, about 60% of them prefer self-service on their applications. And so they're actually bypassing traditional IT support. And if you add that on to this sort of bring your own tech phenomenon, this idea that people will hit a roadblock, and we see this with AI a lot. They're like, oh, I need to use an AI tool. I'm just going to use ChatGPT and we'll deal with it later. And that ends up with that whole shadow IT phenomenon really accelerating. So what you end up with at that point is all of these things put a tremendous amount of stress and pressure on the IT organization in general. And in particular, the help desk is the place where the rubber really hits the road in terms of interacting with these expectations in the organization. So the impact of this, all of these forces coming together and forming the tortured seas that IT teams find themselves in at the help desk ends up with IT teams feeling incredibly stretched thin, productivity going down, people being caught between dealing with interruptions and tickets and things like this, the sort of the ticky-tacky of daily life, and trying to push projects forward and being really unable to do it. Further, because the expectations of the organization are going up and each business unit is like, hey, we have our own projects and we need help from IT, it ends up just seeming the distance is increasing as time goes on. The entire organization ends up feeling this. And one of the things that's important to note is that in addition to this being a metrics problem, you can measure this, like the amount of shadow IT or the number of tickets that don't get submitted, this sort of thing. You can measure these effects. But it's also a feeling, right? So at the end of the day, the frustration people feel with their IT team and their frustration they feel about the technology that they're working with is the thing that we actually want to deal with, because at the end of the day, that's going to be the problem that we finally break ourselves on.